How you all doing? Happy New Year. Um, I've been trying to think about what I wanted to say for um, my first video for the new year. And um, definitely have been brainstorming. I've been writing. And I said, I recently did a 21 recap video, and then I also did a 2022 um, goals video. So I think for this one, I'm going to discuss my writing process, research process mainly, my research process for my writing, and I'll focus this video on mainly the sequel to Gates Bookstore because that's the novel at the moment that I'm currently writing on. The sequel, Gates on the Run. Um, for that research, it's a lot of different lingo. The setting for the novel, mainly the whole series, is New York. And I'm born and raised in Washington, D.C. So I have not been to New York City. So one of my goals, 2022 goals, is to go visit New York and to just, I guess, take a bunch of pictures and make a whole lot of notes and spend a weekend writing while I'm there. So I'm looking forward to that. And that is one of the biggest research opportunities for me. And I think every author, if you are able to, if you are writing, wherever you're writing your setting as, your setting in your book, you should visit that place. And this, of course, doesn't include those who are writing fantasy, if your place is not real, of course, you can't go there. But you can also you can have the mindset of, um, I'm trying to think of the position title of, movie and TV makers where they have, production crew and location people that go and try to find different locations that matches the book. So you can always get creative. So even if you are a fantasy writer, even if you made up a world, um, hopefully you'll be able to do like that. Go to a certain place and have your imagination take over. So for research purposes, for me this year, that's gonna be big for me to go on location. I'm going to go to New York City. I've been to New York, but more so like countryside. When I was younger, my church, we used to have camping. We used to camp somewhere in New York. Um, no idea where it was. We didn't do no adventures. We was mainly a campground. So I didn't see much of New York when I was younger. So I definitely want to see New York. I want to go see New York City and look at all the locations that I've put in my book so I can really get my details even better. I can get a feel of the culture, the environment. So yeah, that's a big, if you have the opportunity, that's very big for me during my research process, is to go to the location I'm writing about. And also, I think some books, they even, depending on the career of the person, I know some people are like, oh, this is too much. It's too much involved, but it's really great for your book. The more authentic your book can be, it's going to be excellent, in my opinion. So I'm not saying if your character is a baker, you have to become a baker yourself. But it would be nice if you understood what some mixers are, and you understood what the cake layers, and just different things. You understood how a cake is made if you're going to write about it. Just generalized stuff that you can easily find. A lot of times you can find Google, or a lot of people are on social media and they posting videos, and a lot of TV shows, and just different things where you are able to, thankfully, because I rely heavily on that stuff too. Thankfully, you don't have to really, get your hands dirty, go on site. You don't have to go to the location, or you don't have to, you know, interview someone who has the same career as your character, and you don't also have to try to volunteer at the same place. Um, but for me, it is really cool, and I think it really engages you more into your own book if you do something like that. So definitely, research wise, that would be really, really awesome. I want to interview, I don't know who, especially since you don't want to be bothering people. But I definitely would love to interview someone who is a forensic scientist, just like Diane is, to get into the mindset of lawyers and police officers and detectives, and just crime scene investigators. It will be awesome to have that sit down, have that conversation with these people, so you are getting things that Google can't always provide you. So if you have someone you can really talk to, then they could give you some like insider, lingo, and some slang, some terminology that they use that, other people might not be familiar with. So it's or they could tell you some good stories, some good inside stories, confidentiality without giving people's names. I definitely enjoy TikTok because of this, because of that aspect of a lot of people in this kind of career area. They'll do videos kind of based on their real life experience, so it gets fun that way. And I definitely push that. If you able to, definitely do it. You just put yourself out there and do it. I haven't done it myself, so I'm not saying it as like, oh, I've done this, and I know it all. But it's something that I find so interesting that I'm going to do it myself. So I'll let you all know how it goes. How many emails I get that tell me go away, or if I can do a ride along with an officer, or if I can um, do some volunteer work certain places. And also, I'm going to record and blog about my trip to New York, because I have places in my book that I talk about, and also in my sequel that I'm working on right now, I have places that I Googled, and, different TV shows of New York and movies that I put in the book. So I'm going to definitely going to go to those spots to really get a feel of it. So I have very limited time because I'm writing the book. I'm not going to pressure myself to be very exact with my locations for this book I'm writing right now. But I'm going to try to go before I finish this book, before I finish Gates on the Run. And then I'm also going to go again later on, because this series is going to be a long series. So I'm going to really try to get the full New York experience and do a lot of note taking, a lot of pictures, videos. So that way, when I get home, or back to the hotel whenever I'm writing. I'll be able to visualize everything. So, what else do I do? So location for your setting, your book setting. And then we have number 2, to do volunteer within your character's career field, or interview someone within that career field to get more of a personal feel of your character's career, if it's that heavily important to your character in the story. So with Diane being a forensic scientist, it's very important for her to know what's going on, for her to know certain details, for her to know how to collect DNA evidence, for her to understand how to analyze DNA evidence. I don't know how to do that. So I rely heavily right now on Google, TV shows, and also some journals, official government websites. I rely heavily on. You can also, those who are in my genre, murder mystery, crime fiction, anything within that realm, there are a lot of case files that you can review, you can look at. And I would say number 3, that's most important as well, for me, just trying to get details right. And also getting inspiration about the behavior and the psychology of criminals and their actions. And also with prosecutors and those who collect evidence. So I'm focusing I'm focusing on my research process for my murder mystery novel series. So there are a lot of documents on the web that you can get and read to really mold your characters around. Not saying to copy a real life person and their actions, but if you have a serial killer who is murdering and your character is a serial killer murdering, you don't have to have it identical, but you can try to gather, okay, I got these 10 cases, these 20 cases of serial killers, murdering, et cetera, all male. And then you can look at them and see things that are similar. What things are showing up all these 20 cases. You know what I mean? So you can definitely try to bring some realism to your characters. And I think the mystery and the crime will be more impactful if you do that, because readers are going to feel it. They're going to be like, what the, this is twisted. You get their emotions going, you get them really like trying to wonder what's going on. You be screwing up people's minds. So I mean, unless you're doing like a cozy mystery or something like that, then that's probably not your goal. But my goal, I definitely don't want anyone to root for the bad guy. I don't want anyone to read one of my murder mysteries and be like, okay, someone died. Okay, like, no, this is a murder. I want you to be thinking about, damn, I need to lock my doors. I want to invoke some strong emotions in you. I want you to think, wait a minute, that sounds like somebody I could know. Okay, I want my characters to be very realistic. So I definitely do look into past case files. So once a case is closed, it's done and over with, you can definitely read the files. So do that. Also, Um, what I also do, I watch a lot of the ID channel. I watch a lot of those type of TV shows. So I watch, See No Evil. I love that show. They use, surveillance cameras, and you get to see real life cases, things that are based on a real life case that happened. And I also love to watch Body Cam, and what's the other, um what is his name? Lieutenant, shoot. Crap, I forgot his name that fast. Um, but yeah, the ID channel. I love watching the ID channel. So I watch that a lot, and I get a lot of inspiration from them. And I also see, when you watching it a lot, you watching episodes back to back, back to back, back to back, you start noticing similar traits. You start noticing similar behaviors with the victims, especially with people who they manipulated or close to. You start to see and hear some of the same behaviors and some of the same, you know, sayings that, they were controlling, or it was stepping stones, and there were warning signs like, oh man, at first I didn't notice, but now that I'm looking back on it, I see so many red flags, and it's like, okay, I can try to, in my own story, with the victims or who I'm choosing to be a victim, I can learn how they react to certain things, and I can also decide if I'm going to make it so that this victim automatically sees every single red flag and is still around. It's like, is that really believable that someone who they are, like your sibling or your husband, that you like, they kind of rough around the edges, so they make, kind of jokes here and there, they might be emo, and I didn't notice anything was happening. I didn't know he was gone all the time, and he was killing people while he was gone, and then he came back home, or he had a whole nother life, a whole nother identity, but I never knew that. That's why we couldn't get married, I guess. But it's like you can change their behavior based on some of the things that you see from other cases. If you're going to just read on the internet real life cases, or you're going to watch like the ID channel, and you see and hear these victims who talk to the camera, they're talking from their personal experience, so you get a good idea about how you can write your own victims, if they survive. A lot of people in my book don't survive, but point is, look at the ID channel if you are in the crime fiction world. And I know a lot of people might say, well, a lot of stuff is fictional. You trying to, try to be more realistic. But if you watch certain ones, it is real. It is realistic, because these people are the actual victims. They are real life people in cases. So you could, I think this is TV shows about cold cases as well, and again, the body cam, that's very real. It's the actual recording. So you can definitely get a lot of good research that way. You hear about their lingo, their vocabulary. You also get an idea about who responds to the scene first, who all does come to the scene. You can get an idea about when they are talking about like different blood splatter, and how you can figure out this, and the bullet hole is this size, so and it's this size and this location. It's not possible for this person to have shot them from this far. They must have shot them while they were standing over them. um, Different things. So I definitely learned a lot from doing that. And I also learned, keep going with that. You can also watch shows that are kind of like fictional as well. So When am I on? The fifth one now? I think I'm on the fifth. So the fifth one I'm on, I recently started watching Blue Bloods. And I never watched it before. It's just been a couple of weeks I've been watching it, so I'm not very far. But I enjoy Blue Bloods and I love Law and Order. I love all of the Law and Orders. Big fan. So I watch that a lot too. And when you do that, a lot of it is fictionalized, but you can also find a lot of things that they're trying to do that mimics real life situations. And you can also, gather inspiration from them and then, try to get your facts right by Googling certain things just to, back up what you say to make sure you're not saying something that's not right. But it's also a means of getting inspiration, in my opinion. So I definitely watch a lot of I watched the Blue Bloods. I started watching CSI investigations. And then I also watched the Law and Order TV shows and yeah, watch those. And then what else did I do for research for this novel? For this novel, mainly, those are the main five things that I do. I also, those are the main things that I do. Try to think, some sites on. I'm pausing because I was trying to think if I can gather some of the where you can look. You can look at JSTOR. Trying to look, see, real, okay, trying to see. But I really recommend using a official site. So don't go to like some random Google site, okay? But yeah, I was trying to look. But yep, you can look at news channels. You can also look at the Supreme Court files, documents. You can also look at JSTOR if you look at different peer review articles. You can also, I did recently one of these settings within this sequel I'm writing, Gates on the Run. The characters have to go to Bethel, Ohio. So I had to look at what their department's like. I looked up, Bethel, Ohio. I looked at their website. I looked at what cases have been going on, and I also looked at different maps. So you can also definitely use Google Maps, and don't only depend on that as well, because a lot of areas they will have in the regular search feed, you can find maps of different places. So not just a generalized map. You can find a map from 1980 or something, 1920. So I use a lot of maps as well because I'm not in those locations. I'm not in Ohio. I'm not in New York. So I also rely a lot on maps. So when I'm looking at the street in like New York, I recently had to look at the city. I'm like, okay, where is the ADA's building? The district attorney, and the courts and the prison, and where are these buildings located on the map, and see how long would it take if someone is doing a taxi or someone's driving or they get in the bus, the subway. If I say, oh, the Vivian, the lawyer, she left out of her office and then she walked over to have a meeting at the office where the courts and the Supreme Court, where they try cases. Well, how long is it actually going to take her, and is it really feasible for her to do that walk? And so just different details like that. If you, especially with New York, and I'm in a city, so it's a little easier to try to understand. Like, wait a minute, it might be better to, even though some things might be cheaper, it might be better to get the bus rather than drive, because, or have someone drive you, because of parking. Parking sucks in DC, and I'm pretty sure in New York parking is not good either. So it's just because you own a car, it might be more realistic to Uber or to get a taxi, get a Lyft, etc. Or if you're not going that far, maybe just go ahead and hop on the bus. In my area where I'm at right now, I ain't get on no damn bus. The bus around me is a demon bus. They got demons on there. I'm not doing it. But it is. If I have to go somewhere and I know there's not going to be parking, depending on, on my mood, I might have to get an Uber, or I might, somebody else drop me off, pick me up, whatever. Or I might just have to adjust my timing so I can have enough time, give myself a lot of time to find a parking space just so I can go to wherever I want to go. So I also have to think about that with New York, because I'm like, okay, I do that as a Washingtonian. I'm in DC, I'm in the city. I think like that. So maybe they might think like that too. So let me research on the map where these buildings are, where is everything at, so I can get a visualization, like, oh damn, my ass ain't walking there. I'm not walking. And even though I'm not in shape, but and Vivian and some other characters might be in shape. So you got to really say, okay, they're a New Yorker, they might be used to walking, but how much walking are they really going to want to do? And Paul, he's a character. He's a ghost. He's in the army, military, whatever. So he's athletic. He's going to be athletic. He probably ain't going to care about walking. If it's a long distance, he's probably going to be the person that said, "Oh, I'll just walk." But me and maybe Vivian and her high heels coming from work and her nice outfit is probably not going to want to walk a certain distance. So I'm trying using maps. I try to be a little more realistic, especially based on each character. And what else did I do for research? I used the maps. That was 6. Was that number 6? I think using maps. What else? I also had to recently. I recently started Googling and looking up abandoned buildings. Excuse me, in New York, because in this book I'm trying to figure out how to realistically have these characters communicate and meet up with each other without anyone finding out. So, of course, you all know Diane is alive. It's the Diane Gates series. She can't die if the series is her name. Well, I'm not going to say she can't die, because I don't know how long series, whatever. But we know she's alive from book 1, because there's a second book, obviously. So based on, Diane, she's on the run. Gates on the run. She's hiding. She needs somewhere to hide. She can't just, go back to her house. So I'm trying to figure out how she and her people, because I don't want to give away too much, her and whoever, can, do their investigation, and they can move around, do stuff. And I'm like, okay, I need a secret location. I need a bat cave. I need something. So I started looking up abandoned buildings in New York, and also trying to understand um, how a building can be abandoned for a certain amount of time and also is not getting checked up on. So just because a building is abandoned doesn't mean it's not going to be on sale soon, or um, you have a vacant property and it's like, okay, well, what's going to happen to that vacant property? You know, stuff like that. So I definitely looked up different different abandoned buildings just recently, probably 2 nights ago. I did that. So what else am I doing for Gate? I keep saying Gates Bookstore because it's the first one. Gates on the Run. What else am I doing? And we got 6 research tactics so far. What else am I doing? What else am I doing for this book? I did well, beyond just this book, because it is a series. Every time I'm watching those TV shows or different movies and different things, and also when I do research for a specific reason but I end up seeing some other cool stuff, I write it down. I put it in my phone notes. I put it in my legal pad. I'll put it in my Word document. If I have it, if I'm on my computer, I put it there, or I'll email some stuff to myself, depending on how long, or just if I want to save, bookmark a page. So I do that a lot, because especially when you have a series, I know it can be tricky when you are trying to focus on this one book and not focus on many at a time. But when you already have an idea, like, okay, this is where I kind of want things to go in the next book, and this is the direction I want to take this story, then when you're looking at things and you're like, wait a minute, that sounds kind of cool. Wait a minute, antifreeze. You can find antifreeze in someone by what color? And I think recently, I got to do my fact checks, but I think recently I saw the other day that it was neon green fluid in person's mouth or whatever, and can be signs of antifreeze poisoning or something like that. So it was interesting. I'm like, oh, it doesn't really relate to the book I'm working on right now, but I'm going to write it down. I wrote it down so I can think of it later. And then I saw some cool stuff. If I'm looking at social media or I'm browsing the web and I see cool locations, I'll make a note of that, because I might use it for another book or for that series. So definitely don't stay so strictly focused on what you're writing and what you're researching, because along the way you'll get so many cool ideas that you should just write it down and make a note of it for later. Or if you see something that is within your genre, but you might not know what to do with it at all, still save it, because it might be for another book. And it's always cool to collect great facts and great locations or great names. Like I do, it's not really pertaining to this novel, but all the time when I'm going around places or I'm watching a TV show and I like a person's name, I write that. I'll keep it down in my phone. So if I'm going to a graveyard business, I'll be looking at the gravestones and I'll be trying to come up with names, and I'll jot them down. And if I'm watching a TV show, I'll look at the end credits, a movie, look at the end credits, and there's so many names that I wouldn't have ever thought of, and I write them down. So definitely do that as well. Write things down, jot things down, even if it's not pertaining to your work in progress at the moment. Write it down. I have see, I'm over here going off track. I'm over here talking about my other book that's high epic fantasy. It's going to be an epic fantasy novel, and when I'm looking, especially on for names, and I'm definitely looking on like Instagram, all these beautiful like travel and like just the world, all these settings, and I'm like, oh damn, I gotta put this down because this is so beautiful. The hills, like it'll help me, even though this is fictional and it's fantasy, and it's about like kingdoms and different stuff. I can still just be captivated by how the ocean is in this video, or how the northern lights are, or how this particular land, or this how I forget if it's like a forest or something, and there's a bridge, and it at certain times it's completely submerged in water, and how cool that is. So I write all this stuff down because even though it's not pertaining to what I'm working on right now, my murder mystery book, it can pertain to other books I'm going to write, or it can inspire me to write a book I never thought I would write. So definitely do stuff like that. And I'm only going to say it because I think there is merit to it, even though I don't do it myself currently. I might try. I've been thinking about doing it, but I don't want to. So I'm really fighting with myself about if I'm going to or not. But some people read books that are within their genre. So if I'm working on my murder mystery, I'll probably read a lot of James Patterson. It's crime fiction. Also, what's his name? David Badachi. Badachi. Yeah, that's his name. Who else is my crime novel person up here? Huh. I thought I had that other guy up here too. Maybe he's at home. He's at home. The person's missing. I think that's like a mystery. That's going to be some type of crime thing. But anyway. Oh no, what the hell is that book? That court what? Oh, there it is, right here in my face. Gorky Park. So that one as well. So I have been against, I said it before, I'm against reading books while I am writing one. So if I'm not writing a book at the moment, if I say, I wrote a book, I'm going to take a few months off, I'm going to take a break from writing and then read, that's fine. I have no problem with that. But I do have a problem with if I'm actively writing every single day, taking hours out of my time writing a book. I don't like reading while I'm doing that because I don't want to get the voice of another author in my head, and I don't want to get inspiration from another author. And you're like, well, everyone gets inspiration from certain things, but I think it can be a very tricky, very blur. The lines can blur. And I don't want my book to sound like another book. Whether it's intentional or not, I believe that if I'm writing a novel that is, if I'm writing about, in my book, someone gets kidnapped, the president, something, and then I'm reading this book, the president is missing, I might unintentionally have the flow kind of similar. I might start remembering what I read, and just, even if I'm not doing it word from word, I don't want to have those lines get blurred. I don't want the characters to get blurred. I don't want the crime to be too similar. And if I write a novel and it ends up reminding someone of another one, be like, oh, Blade and so many vampire books and movies and stuff like that, TV shows out. But I don't want it to sound like someone else. And one of these, I put it on my want to read list, but it sounds too familiar to me to some other stuff. And I know it's a traditionally published book, and I know it can, a lot of times, some people do fan fiction and publish. So I'm not sure if that's what happened here, but when I read I only added it to my list because I saw someone on Bookstagram talk about the book, and it sounded kind of interesting. And I was like, oh, okay, sounds kind of interesting. But then when I read the blurb, when I went to the book page and I read the blurb, I was like, this sounds like this other book, like in this other show. It sounds so similar. Like this person, I don't want to say copy. I'm not accusing nobody. But it sounds too familiar. As while I'm reading the blurb, I'm like, oh, that's so and so. That's so and so. I don't want nobody to read my book or my blurb and have that same opinion, because I over here clicked on it. I'm not trying to be messy in 2021. 2022. Wait, 2022. Okay. 2022. But it's just, and it's her name, the character's name of the book, of that person. I need to see, because it's supposed to be the person who did it was like, oh, it's like a King Arthur type of retelling or something like that. I'm like, what? Sounds kind of interesting. But then when I read the blurb, I'm like, what the hell? This sounds like that daggone what are they called? Lightborns. Was it Shadow Hunters TV show? What's that? Is that the book or the TV show name too? Yeah, Shadow Hunters. It sounds like the daggone Shadow Hunters, and I'm like, dude, are you getting way too much inspiration? So the book Legendborn. I put it on my want to read shelf. I don't know if I'm gonna read it, but it's like, dude, this sounds basically like the Shadowhunters TV show. When I was watching the TV show, it sounds exactly like it from the very beginning. I'm like, oh, that's like so and so. That's like Claire. Okay. But I don't know. I mean, it has a lot of good reviews and etc. So who knows? It can be it might be really, really great. But I didn't look it up. So maybe it could have been inspiration from this, and it could have been fan fiction turned novel. I don't know. But anyway, I'm over here getting off track. Y'all see my videos. I'm always off track. Maybe I should start being a little more scripted. Yeah, so this person, one of the reviewers said the character named Clary. So this character's name is Clary, but then the Shadowhunters character name is Clary as well. I'm so glad I decided I'm not going to do a Bookstagram account or a BookTok or BookTube account, because this is, I don't know. This don't sound, I don't know. And I know they say, oh, the people, the Merlin or whatever, they're supposed to be descendants of King Arthur, but it sounds just like Shadowhunters, whatever. Even some of the reviews, I'm like, it sounds like Shadowhunters. Gosh. Something I am trying to avoid. So this is, I am not a fan of reading any book while you are writing, while you are actively writing. So if you are writing and you say, oh, I'm going to put this down for a month, at least a month, then fine, do a little light reading, but I can't do it. I'm going to try to do it because I understand, I've been looking at people discuss about that. I made a tweet about it before. And I could see some benefits, you start reading stuff that is the genre that you're trying to break through in, and you get to understand what the market is. You get to understand what, the publisher wants. You get to understand what the editing style is now. You get to understand also about formatting. And just, there are some benefits that I could possibly agree with. So that's why I am trying my best to get out my own head and to finally pick up a book and read it, even though I am actively writing 2 novels right now. I'm writing the Gates books, the Gates on the Run. I'm working on that, and I'm also working on Sacrifices Await, which is the 3rd book in the Virtuous Academy series. So I'm writing 2 novels right now. I feel like I don't have time for reading, but I really want to test it out. I want to test it out. Test out reading, and if I feel like the lines are blurring, if I feel like I'm thinking about this book while I'm writing, then I'll stop. I'm not gonna keep reading. It's, to me, I don't like to have books that sound too similar. Do your own take on things. And I'm just looking at that daggone book, Legendborn. I don't know. It seems way too similar. I'm stuck on that. But then other books that are based on like fan fiction. I think is it Love Hypothesis? Trying to think. I saw some videos on that book as well recently, and that was supposed to be a fan fiction. Changed up with names and stuff, changed up to a novel. Anyway, what else do I do for research so I can get off of this subject before hopefully people don't get on me about it? Yeah, what else do I do for research? Yeah, so I think I'll wrap it up to that. So that's what I do for research. Mainly just talking about the crime fiction genre. And a lot of this can be implemented in other things. Maybe it's not the ID channel for you. Maybe it's a different channel. Maybe you can't look up murder cases to get an idea of what's going on with the procedures and different law lingos and vocabulary and details. But you could, I hope y'all don't hear that. You could look at different other things, different stuff. And books, so nonfiction books, I mean. Because definitely, not really research, but I don't know if y'all can really read the titles, but I have a lot of books on, how to write and different things. I also have Keys to Great Writing. Then I also have The Practice of Poetry. That's a good book. And also Ambition and Survival. What else I have? Got some other books. Yeah. So you can also read nonfiction books as well. So I'm gonna talk to you all later. Hit like, subscribe to my channel, and also tell me what you want to talk about. What you want to learn about me, about my books, about my writing, my author journey. Let's get to know each other. And again, Happy New Year.